All right, guys, welcome back to Jerk Block Talk. I'm Jason Fernandez. We're here at CrossFit Rife. Zoe, who's filming this, we were just talking about, like, if you've not done a lot of video, one of the things you have to get really used to is how close the camera gets to you. So I feel like Zoe's in my space a little bit, but I understand that that's how we get a good shot. But sometimes I get a little freaked out. All right, so today what we're gonna talk about, guys, is one of the 6 criteria for which we evaluate a CrossFit coach. And it's the one that we get I get some questions on, and it's a hard answer sometimes, and that is the presence and attitude piece. So there are some things you can do specifically to work on presence and attitude. Speak up. Make sure you're moving around a lot when you teach, to captivate people's vision, to capture people's vision. But there's some kind of hidden tricks in there when you're facilitating a class that will actually, allow you to be a little bit more of a person instead of a robot. So I can't give you like a list of jokes or anything like that. My jokes are awful, but I'm super good at making fun of people. So that is usually a good way to have some presence and attitude, as long as you know that the person can take that. But what Cassidy's doing right now, this is a perfect example of where you can kind of work on that presence and attitude. So usually if you're doing some sort of general warm up, there's gonna be what we call dead space, where there's not really any reason to talk, right? So they're doing these inchworms and they're doing their general warm up. And this is, anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds, maybe even a little bit longer, depending on what you're having the athletes do, where you can fill that with some of that presence and attitude. You can review some things for the workout, and this is be a perfect spot where you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and you can talk about strategy for the workout, or you can review some of the scaling things that you either want to touch on again from the brief, or that you forgot during the brief, and you can circle back and capture that when they're warming up and there's dead space. So there's no reason for you to not be saying something or not be giving them information at this point too. It's also a good time in these little dead periods during the class for you to check in with some of the athletes. How's everybody feeling from last week? Is anybody sore? Anybody got any aches and pains, injuries that we need to talk about? And there's no reason that you can't have those conversations here while they're accomplishing what's already in the schedule, which is the general warm-up, but you can start interacting with those people, start getting some of that equity that Ben Bergeron talks about with your clients. This is a perfect place where you want to interact. And then what you'll see is Cassidy's been talking to all of the athletes the entire time while they're doing this. So if you're one of those people that you get a little stage fright when you step in front of a group to teach, this is a place for you to be human. And this is a place for you to kind of bring that down and just have casual conversation. And then you'll get in your comfort zone. And what it'll allow you to do is it'll allow you to have a better class and to have better rapport with the members that come in the gym. So again, there's a ton of places you can do this, right? So in the line drills is one. Another place that's a really good opportunity for you to kind of have some of those side conversations and improve some of that presence and attitude is when you start loading up weights and you start setting the classroom for your logistics layout. That's when you can kind of pull some people aside, you can have some side conversations, but it's not interrupting the flow of the class. And that's the important piece. I don't want to have those conversations at the expense of the class, or I don't want to have to cover those things at the expense of the class and at the expense of the timeline. So look at your timeline for however you do your class, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Look at your timeline, figure out where those spots are in your class and the structure of your class that you can add some of that stuff, and you can figure out like, okay, well I got some good feedback on how I did this and some of the jokes, and people seem to be having a good time. But the reality is, like, you're probably, if social settings and public speaking is not your thing, you're gonna have to actively start working on how to do that, okay? So that's kind of like the personal touch of that. And then the presence and attitude is you need to practice so that when you step up in front of a group, you know what you're saying, you know it's correct, and you're confident in what you're saying. One of the things that we tell all of our coaches and interns is when they teach was what we really would like you to do is be you, but be the 10x version of you. So if you're timid, you kind of have to let that go, put yourself on stage and act. So some of this stuff is just acting, and that is part of the presence and attitude and capturing people's attention. So again, this one's like a weird topic, but it's very important because it's one of those things where if you're very knowledgeable about the movements, about coaching and things of that nature, but you talk like this and there's no emotion in your face, you're going to lose the attention of the people that you're trying to talk to. And then again, they're not going to get the information you're trying to give out. They're not going to get the good coaching. Their movement's not going to improve, and they're not going to get any fitter. So it's one of those things where you have to figure out some ways to force yourself out of your shell. One is practice what you're going to say so you can say it confidently. And then two is figure out where the dead space is where you can be you and interact with the folks in the gym. So I hope this is helpful. This is one that I've had a conversation with a couple of folks about recently, and I think it's a pretty good topic, but it's kind of a vague topic for a lot of people. So I hope this helps a little bit, and figure out where that dead space is, and figure out where you can kind of joke joke around and lighten the mood a little bit for the workout and for the day. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.